I used to be a member in this Facebook group, and it was for lesbians. And lesbians were in this particular membership group. And somehow there were certain heterosexual women who plowed their way into this lesbian membership group on Facebook. And they would make all of these comments and statements, which was very disrespectful towards lesbian women and the lesbian community as a whole. And one of the issues that I have with some of these Facebook groups, or just in general, not just tied to Facebook, if you have any type of membership or community, it needs to be not only private, but you need to make it as a paywall. And this is one of the reasons why I make my online school, which is called, quote, Giselle Wallace Lesbian Academy, end quote. It is a private online school, and there is a paywall behind it. But you also have to be extremely respectful and follow my guidelines, because I am the instructor of Giselle Wallace Lesbian Academy. When you go on to social media and you see certain platforms that have their own groups, and you see the title before you enter, and they even sometimes leave an instruction giving you some type of community guideline, and it is very clear that people completely bypass the instruction or the community guideline, because it's there before you even enter the group. You have to actually literally choose, yes, I will respect and abide by your community guidelines before you even enter the group. But I was in this particular Facebook group that was for lesbians, and it was a free membership. It was pretty much open to, obviously, lesbians or women who love women. If you're bisexual or pansexual, you could come into this group. But primarily there were lesbians there. And you see that this is a lesbian group. And I'm emphasizing this for a reason, because there were heterosexual women who were going into this group, and they had to agree to respect this particular Facebook group and abide by their community guidelines. They were fully aware that this group was for lesbians. And so they still entered the group on Facebook. Now, they would leave very derogatory statements about lesbians. And I remember one particular heterosexual woman making this comment, and I basically did a video on my YouTube channel regarding my experience being in this particular Facebook group. Now, I'm no longer in this Facebook group, but one of the reasons I'm not in the Facebook group is because of the ridiculous, homophobic, heterosexual men and women who entered this particular group. There was no type of, I guess they needed moderators or something, but it was just kind of just too open. Because again, you know that you're entering a lesbian Facebook group. So you already come in knowing, hey, this is for lesbians. So you have no excuse for going in there disrespecting lesbian women in the lesbian community. But they did. So that was one of the reasons why I left this particular Facebook group for lesbians. And I did a video some months back on my YouTube channel, and the video title is, quote, "Lesbian Female Anatomy, Our Bodies Fit Perfectly," end quote. And I was talking about just how the lesbian relationship, the sensuality, the sexuality that is ever so present amongst women who love women, how it's so compatible on down to not just the way we resonate with each other mentally and intellectually and emotionally, but on down to our physical bodies, how our bodies are so compatible. But if you want to listen to the video, you can. But I mentioned in there also how I had this experience of being in this Facebook group that was for lesbians, and how these heterosexual women came in there and just was making all kinds of stupid, ignorant, and discriminatory comments about lesbians. And one of the comments that stood out to me was this heterosexual woman saying, regarding the way lesbian women come together physically in a sexual relationship, she felt like she needed to tell lesbians how they had it all wrong. And there were a lot of statements that were very derogatory and crude, which I'm not going to state here on YouTube. And this is another reason why I start my own Lesbian Academy, Giselle Wallace Lesbian Academy, so I do not have to be censored. And I talk about very mature topics that we need to hear as lesbian women, and basically discuss our experiences in a safe place. Talk about topics that lesbians need to discuss and address, learn from our experiences, and apply them and implement them in our lives so we can live healthy. And I encourage you to register at Giselle Wallace Lesbian Academy. The link is here on my YouTube channel on the homepage and below this video in the description box. I will be adding more courses, and so stay tuned and be a part of learning our way as same-sex attracted people. And just to introduce myself for those who are first-time visitors here, my name is Giselle Wallace. I am a certified life coach. I'm also an author and entrepreneur. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you've visited my YouTube channel before and you have not subscribed, just look and see if you've hit the subscribe button. And if you have not, subscribe. That way you can stay informed about any of my latest content. Thank you very much. So, in my YouTube video that I did previously, Lesbian Female Anatomy, Our Bodies Fit Perfectly, I discussed briefly about how I was in this Facebook group. Now, this Facebook group was not mine, because trust me, if I had a Facebook group, it would not be set up where anybody could just come in, and it definitely would be very strict guidelines. But that was one of the reasons why I left the Facebook group. And I discussed my experience of these heterosexual women leaving all of these crude comments, and just, it just shows their ignorance and their bigotry. Also, it shows you how a lot of heterosexual women worship men. And they leave these comments and statements that tell you exactly how they think about women. And many women are misogynistic. just like their male heterosexual counterparts. And this is why I've titled my YouTube video, Pick Me Females, Leaving Male Worshipping Comments on a Lesbian Social Media Platform. Because I've seen it so many times where there's a social media page and it's for lesbians or it's for LGBTQ plus people, and you always have these heterosexual people coming in bombarding our spaces and attacking us. Now, if this happened in the reverse, where we went to heterosexual people's social media profiles and pages and platforms, they would be outraged. They would be ready to take us out. I mean, they're already just waiting for an opportunity to just belittle and pretty much annihilate anyone who is associated with what they call the alphabet community. But yet they feel it's so righteous for them to come over and invade lesbian, gay, bisexual, and LGBTQIA plus social media platforms and just go in with their emotional vomit. These cyber bullies, these keyboard warriors who hide behind a fake name and a fake profile picture. And they go ballistic on LGBTQIA plus people on their social media platforms. How cowardice is that? How dumb is that? But that's what they do. And they even have the audacity to come to my social media platforms to do the same thing. So I know from firsthand experience what this is like. So when I was in this former Facebook, well, I don't know if it exists anymore or not. When I say former, that means I no longer am in that Facebook group, which was for lesbians, because it was free. Anybody could come in, even though you knew you had to agree to respect their community guidelines, because before you access the group, you had to check yes. But clearly there are people who do not care, and they go in intentionally to create havoc. And that's what happened. And it's unfortunate because there were so many types of lesbian women who were in this particular Facebook group, and many of them could have been deeply impacted in a negative way where it could have affected how they view themselves as lesbians, because of the way these women just went in and attacked them. And when I say these women, they were heterosexual women, because they said that they were straight, that they were heterosexual. And they made sure you knew that they thought men were better than women. Like, these women were so ridiculous, they didn't even realize they were telling on themselves in a very bad way. But this is how toxic women can be, when they hate who they are so much that the only way that they can feel better about themselves is by attacking other women, and women who they think are beneath them. Yes, they think that lesbians are beneath them. You know why? Because we live in this sick society that worships men, and more specifically, heterosexual men. So the women fall in line behind their male heterosexual counterparts, and they've been programmed to hate themselves and to love men over everything. So they go on and take it upon themselves to intrude a lesbian community space. I mean, we're minding our own business, and then here comes these intruders, these heterosexual women who want to make us aware that we as lesbians have it all wrong. But here was one of the comments, and there was a lot of comments, and some of them were so crude and nasty. Like I say, I am not able to speak about them on here because this video message needs to get out. But one of the comments that was stated, and I mentioned it in my YouTube video, which you can go and see, Lesbian Female Anatomy, Our Bodies Fit Perfectly. So one of the heterosexual women said about our physical relationship, our physical sexual relationship, which how can she know anything about a lesbian's physical sexual relationship if you are a heterosexual woman? How do you know what to tell a lesbian woman about having a sexual relationship with a woman when you are a heterosexual woman? That's the first question I have. And then secondly, why are you implying that lesbian relationships are beneath heterosexual relationships? And then thirdly, since you know so much about lesbian relationships and what we do behind closed doors in our bedroom, in our own privacy, since you know so much about it, are you sure that you're a heterosexual woman? So this heterosexual woman said, how can two locks come together? You need a lock and a key. So she says, how can two locks come together? That don't make no sense. You need a lock and key. Then she said, ain't nothing better than a lock and a key. She said, ain't nothing better than a key in your lock. She said, ain't nothing better than a key going in your lock. Now, you know, these heterosexual women love to say about like gay men and lesbians, how I could have spent the rest of my life not seeing that or hearing that. That's what I have to say about her stupid comment. I could have spent the rest of my life without hearing ain't nothing better than having a key in your lock. Now, that's your private business. I don't need to hear it. But she made it her business to tell all the lesbians in this Facebook group that she thinks that a lock is not supposed to be with another lock, and that you need a key in your lock. Well, see, this is the type of perverted behavior that heterosexual women love to engage in conversation about. And they bring it to lesbian social media pages and profiles. But yet they call us perverted. They call us sick and twisted. But they do sick and twisted things such as talk about base things such as what is going on in somebody's bedroom and bring it to a forum that they're not even supposed to be in because they're heterosexual, and you know that these are lesbian women. So what makes you think you can go in and tell lesbian women what they need to be doing with their lives? Just make it make sense. But heterosexual women and even their male heterosexual counterparts whom they worship and adore, you just can't experience being in your own lesbian, gay, bisexual, LGBTQIA plus platform, whether you are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which is now X, or wherever you like to be. They've got these new social media platforms coming up. But I tell you what, as far as me, Giselle Wallace, I have my own website, GiselleAWallace.com. I have my own lesbian academy, which is Giselle Wallace Lesbian Academy. And I have plans for memberships which are exclusive to same-sex attracted people. And you will not be able to come in there disrespecting our space that I administer and that I conduct and that I lead and that I am the founder and creator of. You absolutely cannot think that you can come in there and take over, because you're going to be in for a big surprise and you won't be happy about that surprise. And it's a surprise. So I'm not going to tell you what the surprise will be, but it will not be in your favor. And yes, I may be on social media. If you're listening to this video at this point, congratulations. You are on my social media platform, and it's called YouTube. And if you hear me or see me on Instagram, if you hear me or see me on Facebook, if you hear me or see me on Twitter, which is X, if you hear me or see me on Instagram Threads or any other platform where Giselle Wallace is, you do not want to try me. You know, the good old holy book, the Bible, tells you, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Some people say that is the famous golden rule. All you have to do is take 10 seconds and ask yourself, would I like someone to treat me the way I am about to treat this person? Now that's my quote. And if the answer is yes, well, go right ahead. If the answer is no, then you don't need to open your mouth. It's simple, very simple, but people like to make things very hard. And here's the thing. Although you are making things hard for people who are innocent and minding their own business, minding their life, living their best life, such as going into lesbian spaces and going in trying to make people feel bad about who they are, which, by the way, is discrimination and it's hate. Just know that any and every person that you make feel terrible, you give them a hard time, whether it's in person or whether it's online. Just know that you will reap what you sow. And although you're giving them a hard time, those hard times are going to come back to you. So let that sink in. Pick me females leaving male worshiping comments on a lesbian social media platform. Don't ever do it again. Thank you for listening. I am Giselle Wallace, lesbian life coach and author. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you register and become a learner at Giselle Wallace Lesbian Academy. See you in class.